Hi there everybody, I'm PG Wobbles and welcome to another edition of Panda Global's Super Smash Bros. Melee recap series. Now that we've all had a week to recuperate from the hype, we're going to be covering EVO 2016's Melee event. Now, in a surprising turn of events, I did not actually end up winning the event, much to everyone's disappointment, so there's really not a whole lot to talk about. That's it for the recap, folks. Like, follow, subscribe, comment, share, hit us up on social media, do what you do, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. Kidding. Given just how momentous tournament EVO 2016 was, we're actually going to do something special for this video. We're going to split it up into two parts, focusing on each member of the top 8 and the paths they took to participating in the finals on Sunday in the Mandalay Bay Arena. We're going to start with the 7th placers and work our way up, so let's get started. Top 8 at EVO this year was an exciting blend of old and new. We saw some familiar faces returning to the stage, but we also saw some newcomers. One of the most exciting ones was Counterlogic Gaming's Pew Pew. The California Marth has long since suffered from what he calls his 9th place curse, falling just short of top 8 at extremely large events. And he's managed to have notable wins against just about every high-level player there is. He's beaten Mango, he's beaten Hungrybox, but he hasn't been able to quite crack top 8 and make it to the final phase of any really large events. Pew Pew's road to top 32 was a fairly straightforward one. Beat Fruit Loop Chic 2-0 to advance to day 2, but he quickly nosedived into losers, losing to Swedish Delight. His next match was the Moon, who he beat in a solid 2-0, not dominating, but clear control. And then he fought against Colbull's Fox. He had a solid win on Game 1, but actually fell behind on Colbull's counterpick Yoshi's Story Game 2. And Colbull actually dropped the set with a game-winning edgeguard that he turned into a self-destruct forward being off the side of the stage. Kind of a bummer, but it allowed Pew Pew to advance. To secure his spot in top 8, Pew Pew also had to fight Winter Fox's Shroomed. This has been a difficult matchup for him. According to Shroomed, Pew Pew hasn't beaten him since Paragon LA, and one of the reasons Shroomed became a Sheik main was because Pew Pew had such a lockdown on his Dr. Mario that he was looking for a character that would allow him to beat him. And one of his stated reasons for picking Sheik is so that he could beat Pew Pew's Marth. He's pretty much had the advantage since then, so this was a rather rough matchup for Pew Pew to get into top 8. With that in mind, Pew Pew dominated Game 1 all the way up until the end, when he had a 3-stock-to-1 lead, and Shroomed started to drag it back and nearly made the comeback. This is one of the reasons why Shroomed may have decided to simply run it back to Battlefield. The momentum in Game 2 switched back and forth between the two, neither having a clear lead, but in the end Pew Pew was able to clutch it out with a solid finish, and that got him into Sunday and broke his 9th place curse. He did a bit of celebrating on camera, and he also did a bit of celebrating on Twitter. Unfortunately for Pew Pew, his run ended fairly quickly on the 3rd day. He had to fight against C9's Mango in loser's bracket. Mango dominated Game 1, nearly dominated him Game 2 before Pew Pew put a monstrous comeback up and sent it to Game 3, and then Mango won with an extremely strong finish, sending Pew Pew out of the tournament, but leaving him with one of his best singles performances of all time. It's worth noting, of course, that he does not suffer from the same lack of results in doubles. He and SFAT love crashing the party together. The CLG duo took their 2nd first-place finish at EVO twice in a row for the doubles event, so congratulations to the NorCal team. Last of all, Pew Pew has the dubious distinction of being the only player during the top 8 medal ceremony to actually be smiling. Okay, fine, Hungrybox. Happy tears count. Our second newcomer to the stage is Westballs. Now, Westballs recently left Team Tempo Storm, and EVO 2016 was his first major as Team G2's Smash Brothers representative, so that's pretty exciting for him. But also worth mentioning is the fact that Westballs is one of the most wildly inconsistent players in the tournament scene. He has a risky style that causes him no small amount of inconsistency, and he's top 8 at numerous majors. He's shown he can beat just about everybody in the world, but it also seems like he can lose to just about anybody in the world. So you're never really sure which Westballs you're going to get at any given event. It looks like we got serious mode Westballs this time though, because he cracked top 8 at EVO for the first time. He's entered all 4, and 2016 was his first time making it to day 3. So let's look at how he did it. Westballs' journey to the top 8 was a pretty rough one. He had one of the harder winners finals opponents you could ask for during Phase 2 of pools. He lost to Duck, going Fox and Captain Falcon, and then he had to play Slox in order to make it out losers' sides. That's 2 top 100s in Phase 2, which is no small feat. But after losing and going into Day 2, we saw him make a series of tweets demonstrating how he felt about his losses and showing that there was a little extra spark in him for this tournament. Westballs had a heck of a loser's bracket run in order to make it to top 8. Every opponent he fought was a top 8 threat in their own right, so he had a long and arduous journey to make it there. His very first opponent was CLG's SFAT, who had lost the previous day in something of an upset to Root Gaming's Chewed At. Westballs took it down over SFAT in a clean 2-0, and then he had to move on to fight Tempo Storm's Axe, his former sponsor mate. Axe has something of an edge historically in their sets, but Westballs managed to win in a back-and-forth 2-1, ending with, I believe, a 2-1 on Pokemon Stadium. His very next opponent was yet another former top 8er of EVO, who's seen top 8, lots of tournaments, huge threat himself, Splice Nintendude. Ice climbers are particularly scary at Nationals when nerves are running high, with wobbling being one of the lowest execution barriers to a high punish game. But Westballs managed to stay strong despite previous troubles in that matchup, and he ended up winning very solidly over Nintendude 2-0 as well. His final match to make it into top 8 would prove to be a test of Westball's mental fortitude. He had to face off against Swedish Delight, who in recent history has had the edge over him. Swedish is also something of a counter to Westball's style. Westball's is fast, furious, risk-taking, high technicality. He thrives in the micro game where he can out-buttons you to death. Swedish Delight, on the other hand, is much more of a macro game player. He is constantly in situations that favor him, and if it's a high-risk situation close up, he tends to bail. He's also really good at exploiting Falco's weak recovery, so on pretty much any day, Westballs is at a serious disadvantage against the Sheik main. However, this time would prove to be different. He won in a very strong 2-0. He managed to avoid all but one self-destruct. Almost all of his stocks ended with him above 100%. He nailed his combo game, and he didn't choke. So that's what it takes to get to EVO top 8, I suppose. Westball's run ended pretty quickly on day 3, however. He had to fight against Tempo Storm's S2J. S2J got his spot because of the vacancy left by Westballs, so that's kind of an interesting matchup from a personal perspective. But more importantly, the two have played very regularly in SoCal for the past year, and according to S2J, S2J had not beaten him at all in over a year. That is a long time to go without winning a set against somebody. So between that and the character matchup, it would seem Westballs had a huge advantage. S2J, however, played on fire, managed to end Game 2 with a violent string of knees and send Westballs out in 7th place. However, with his insane loser's bracket run against so much top 8 material, he definitely has nothing to be ashamed of. And speaking of S2J, he is the third member of the top 8 we're going to be covering today. He took 5th place, and he's the first Captain Falcon main to make it into EVO's top 8. He had a heck of a run to do it, and it was also his first tournament as a member of Team Tempo Storm. As mentioned, Westballs left a vacancy, S2J filled it, and he put on quite a show at his first major for the team. Captain Falcon main had an extremely difficult route to make it into top 8. In Phase 2 alone, he had to fight against Face Roll's Sheik, he had to fight against Swedish Delight, who sent him into losers, and then he rematched Face Roll's Sheik, so to make it to Day 2 alone, he had to fight one of Falcon's most difficult matchups multiple times in a row. He then immediately kicked off Day 3 in loser's bracket against Fruit Loop's Sheik, and then he had to fight against Javi, who he beat 2-0 in the Falcon-Fox matchup, yet another extremely difficult battle. Right after playing Javi, he had to fight Drugged Fox, who, as opposed to playing Sheik, actually chose to go Fox this time, and S2J took that one down, 2-1. And then in order to secure his final spot, he had to battle against Duck Samus, who had managed to beat Westball's Falcon in the past 2 sets they played. However, S2J took it down with a 2-0, and then advanced him into top 8. Day 3 saw S2J, as mentioned, facing off against Westballs, and S2J won 2-0. And his next match, however, ended his run, fighting Team Liquid's Hungry Box, Hungrybox lost in winners semis to Panda Global's own Plup. And the Puff Falcon matchup, not an easy one for S2J. He lost 0-2, solid games, but not quite close enough, and that's where the dream died. However, he was the first Falcon to top 8 at EVO. He's one of the few Falcons capable of showing top 8 at a major at all. He had a lot of impressive victories, and absolutely no reason to be sad about how well he did. The fourth player we're looking at in this video is MVG Echo Fox Mewtwo King. Mewtwo King, there was a time when he wasn't interesting, because he won just about everything. Now, however, his tournament placing is almost as unpredictable as Westball's. In the past year alone, he's demonstrated he can beat Mango, he can beat Armada, he can beat Hungrybox, which means he definitely has the potential to win some of these super majors. On the other hand, he's also lost to numerous non-gods and sometimes even bows out before top 8 rolls around. And whether this is due to all of his travel causing fatigue and burnout, or it's just statistics after playing the game for so long, it's hard to say, but you just don't know with Mewtwo King anymore. And so it's kind of funny because this tournament, his performance was remarkably unremarkable. If you want to see what I mean, let's take a look. Mewtwo King's first interesting match to get into top 32 was against Drunksloth, Florida Ice Climber player. Now, Drunksloth has a few wobbling-based upsets under his belt over some high-level players, and Mewtwo King is notorious for detesting the Ice Climbers matchup and using his Peach counterpick. So some people were wondering, is the upset going to happen? Nope. 2-0, Jason Zimmerman took out Drunksloth very cleanly and advanced to top 32 winner's side. The next day, his next match was against Gravy, 20GX Falcon, and with Mewtwo King's loss to None earlier this year, as well as his extremely close set with Wizrobe, there was potential for an upset here as well. Gravy, Florida Falcon, part of the 20GX movements, flowchart combo game, just might be able, in the best-of-3 format, to upset the King. Nope. Mewtwo King won that one 2-0. Game 2 was a bit close one stock, but Mewtwo King took it down. And his last match to make it to top 8 was against Swedish Delight. Now, Swedish recently upset Mewtwo King twice at Smash and Splash, beating both his Sheik in the Ditto and Fox. So, if there was any set Mewtwo King was going to have that would have been an upset against him, it was this one. And it's gone. Mewtwo King, with a clean victory over Swedish Delight, makes it to top 8 winner's side. No chance at upsets. As mentioned, remarkably unremarkable. Top 8 Mewtwo King continued with the predictability streak, facing off against Alliance Armada. Now, recently, Mewtwo King just this year 3-0'd Armada with Marth at Smash Summit 2, and he also previously fought him in a set that went to, I believe, last game, where Mewtwo King, a lot of his loss was attributed to the fact that he switched to Sheik. In this case, however, Mewtwo King ended up losing 0-2. They were close games, but Armada clutched it out and knocked Mewtwo King into the loser side, where he had to play his most interesting set of the whole tournament against Mango. And the two have had very explosive sets in the past, rife with comebacks and strange swings, potential blowouts. No one knew what to expect. Game 1, Mango stomped Mewtwo King, and because it was a 2 out of 3, he had a stage ban and did not have to worry about Mewtwo King on FD. Mewtwo King did something rather strange here and counterpicked Mango's Fox over to Pokemon Stadium. Now, this is typically a Fox level, but Mewtwo King almost always goes Marth against Spacies on Pokemon, so in a weird way it kind of is his counterpick, and he proved that when he 3-stocked Mango's Fox in Game 2, showing that this was a set of destruction. Game 3, however, Mewtwo King wasn't able to put up much of a fight. Mango almost had the 4-stock. About the only resistance Mewtwo King offered was denying him the 4 and then the JV 4. Got that hit. Mango took him down, knocked Mewtwo King out of the tournament, ending his run. One last fun thing to know about Mewtwo King's 5th place finish at EVO 2016 is that this is the 3rd one he's attended since 2013. He didn't make it to 2015 due to hand problems, but this is also his 3rd 5th place. So, arguably, Mewtwo King is the only Smasher with a 3-vo under his belt. And that concludes our Melee recap for EVO 2016, Part 1. We're going to be coming at you with Part 2. We'll cover the top 4 players. Thanks for watching. Like, follow, subscribe, comment. We'll see you next time. Do I have scoliosis or something? What the hell? Why am I so off kilter? I don't get it. I look all stilted. This is terrible. I'm stuck. What's going wrong with my life? Okay, that's it. We're done. It's a wrap, boys. Peace.